Pokemon FIRERED Hardcore Nuzlocke with only purple colored Pokemon. What's a Hardcore Nuzlocke? Here's the rules on the screen, also in the description too. How do we know if Pokemon is purple or not? The Pokedex assigns each Pokemon a color, so here are some examples as well as a link in the description to the Bulbapedia page with every Pokemon by color. Got it? Okay, let's go. Starting out, I named myself Jack because we're only using purple colored Pokemon, and my friend Jack is also Purple Cliff if you didn't know. And name our rival Yellow, which is the opposite of purple. Since I'm sure you could tell none of the 3 Kanto starters are purple, I ran a poll on my Twitch chat to see which purple starter to replace the starter with, and Gligar won the poll, so that's our starter now. I wanted Mewtwo because Mewtwo's also purple, but no, that would be too OP apparently. But the problem with Gligar is it only has Poison Sting right now. And by the way, if you want to see me do these runs live on Twitch, follow me on Twitch, linked in the description. It's a lot of fun. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the boring stuff in this game and just try to stick with the action and all that as much as possible. So going over to Brock's gym, we caught a Rattata on the way that I named Remy after the rat from Ratatouille, the best Disney movie of all time. Do not at me, you weird Frozen stans, and invoke a weird deep strategy of just spamming Sand Attack with Gligar and going for Poison Stings. Hopefully we get a lot of dodges and get a poison off the Poison Sting. I throw some Hardens in there to boost our defense a bit just in case we do get hit with some attacks, and after our Poison Sting gets some poisons, since they just do like -2 damage anyway, we're better off going for Harden and letting the poison do the KO. We get Rock Tomb as a reward that I give to Giggles the Gligar to lay waste to most of these pathetic bug type trainers between now and Cerulean City. On the way through though, we caught a Nidoran that I named Borgor King of course, and a Zubat that I named Bayonetta in Mount Moon. Do not even think to ask me which fossil I picked because the only fossil that matters is the Aerodactyl fossil because Aerodactyl's purple in this game. In Cerulean City, we have to fight the second gym leader, Misty. The level cap is 21 now, and she has no Psychic type moves on her team because, as you can tell from our team, we don't really like taking Psychic moves all that well. After running some damage calcs, I realized the only way we can do damage is if we evolve Borgor King into Nidoking and teach it Mega Kick from the move tutor outside of Mount Moon. I also found this Person Berry that I gave it in case it got confused by one of Misty's water pulses. There is one problem though, I passed that area with the move tutor, so I used this secret technique known as Rock Climb. If you didn't know, Rock Climb actually does exist in this game, it's called cheating, and Rock Climb all the way back around the mountain to go back to the move tutor to teach Mega Kick to our Nidoking. In hindsight, I probably should have done this in the first place to begin with. I don't know why I skipped it, but since we are a part ground type Pokemon, we're weak to water, so we need another Pokemon to take on the Staryu at the very least, since Nidoking alone can't take that many water pulses. I then came to the realization that Rattata is basically useless from pretty much this point on because Raticate, if you didn't know, isn't purple, so I just decided to leave with Rattata and let it oof itself to do as much damage as possible to then let Nidoking come in for the win. It ends up taking out the Staryu pretty easily though and does more damage than I thought to it with its move Hyper Fang, and then does about half to Starmie before it oofs itself, allowing Nidoking to come in, get the win, and get our second gym badge. Very epic. After that, we quickly dispatch our rival up north and hammer away at the rest of the trainers around here to see Bill, help him with his weird experiment, and get the SS and ticket, then rush to the SS and in Vermilion City, fight our rival again, and I was a bit scared of Kadabra since it has the move Confusion, but we do get through it pretty easily. Then Golbat takes care of the Wartortle I was also scared of because it gets water moves for our ground type Pokemon. And after that, all that's left is our rival's Raticate, and I thought this would be one of the easiest Pokemon to take out, but I guess Raticate just gets revenge for our Rattata that we just let oof itself, and must really like the movie Ratatouille and just oofs our Golbat right there. This makes me sad, but at least Nidoking can clean up, and I just focus on Surge for the time being since we have 2 ground type Pokemon on our team, and Surge doesn't exactly have anything to take ground type moves since he's an electric gym, so we can just skip the play-by-play analysis and just know that I spam dig to get this gym badge very easily, and then it leads us to the Rock Tunnel. The tricky part about Rock Tunnel is there's a lot of rock types here. Who would have guessed it? Rock Tunnel with rock types, right? And we can't really hit rock types too easily with most of our Pokemon outside of Nidoking with dig and double kicks. Turns out that Geodudes in this area have the move called Magnitude, and one of them goes for a Magnitude, gets a Magnitude 9 while Nidoking is underground, which does more damage if you're underground by the way, knocking out our Nidoking for another oof so close to the last one. Should I have double kicked? Yes, but we continue across anyway with our team of just Gligar and Arbok, go to Celadon City, pick up this Eevee which does evolve into Espeon, a purple Pokemon, but only after you get the National Pokedex in this game. I think that's kind of lame, and I think you should be able to evolve your Eevee into Espeon or Umbreon in this game naturally. So I decided to just cheat a little bit and let our Eevee evolve into Espeon after we beat Erica's gym, since I just wanted an Espeon. I think Espeon's cool. For Erica's gym though, and her grass-type Pokemon, I taught Gligar the move Aerial Ace, which by the way is the only flying-type move Gligar gets. You're doing great out there, Gligar, with your move pool. I don't know why it's so terrible. And this gym battle goes about as easy as Lieutenant Surge's, so I'll spare you the play-by-play and just know that I spammed Aerial Ace until I just got the gym badge. With that out of the way and 4 badges at our disposal already, and like what has it been, like 5 minutes of this video, we are just rapid firing this hardcore Nuzlocke, I begin to prepare for the dreaded middle part of Kanto where we have a ton of Team Rocket events as well as a good amount of Pokemon to catch between now and Koga's gym. I also think it's kind of lame how Koga's level cap and Sabrina's level cap are the exact same. I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but I might accidentally be a few levels over pretty soon. We now storm the Team Rocket Game Corner base like we own the place, and after looking at Giovanni's team, then our team, I realize we don't fare too well against him right now. At this point, I just decided to evolve Eevee into Espeon. You can't normally do that in this game, which I don't understand why, but we did it anyway. Level it up so it learns Psywave, and hold on to the Psychic TM for now until we get Ghastly, since Espeon can learn Psychic naturally at level 47, and I think we can wait until then since Ghastly and Haunter have a pretty terrible level up moveset. It can use all the TMs we can get. Espeon makes this fight go by so easy. Also, can we just talk about Espeon's backspray in this game for a second? Is it me or does it look a little bit scuffed and just a little bit off? This then allows us to dispatch our rival in the Lavender Tower where we murder his Raticate. Wouldn't be a Pokemon FIRERED video if you didn't reference murdering the Raticate and catch a Ghastly since it's purple, and I named it iCarly. I don't know why, but I did anyway. I immediately evolved Ghastly to Haunter, and then go to the Silph building for another rival fight, followed by a Giovanni fight right after. I led with Espeon to Psywave his Blastoise, but we do less damage than I thought, and also take more from his bite than I thought. For some reason, I thought Haunter would be a good switch-in. Big mistake, not like those are too common around here, as Ghastly's also weak to bite, and does a lot of damage from it. I just decided to be a Chad and risk the crit for maximum copium, but no, we of course don't get the crit, and then iCarly falls to Blastoise. Arbok and Gligar then remember they're part of the team and actually help out for the rest of his team by quick attacking the Blastoise for the KO, and then on his Growlithe, I stayed in with Gligar and get oofed by a Flame Wheel. I thought we would take another hit. We did not take another hit, but at least we still have Espeon on our team for like another 7 minutes or so, as in the Giovanni fight, she starts off hot with some KOs, and then his Kangaskhan takes a hit and Mega Punches us for the oof. I just recently realized how strong Giovanni's Kangaskhan is, as Kangaskhan isn't the Pokemon that I normally associate with Giovanni. I feel like he only really has it in the games and not in the anime or anything like that. And all that leaves now is Monty the Arbok on our team. By some crazy stroke of luck, it's able to persevere after getting a glare on his Rhyhorn and knock it out. We may only have one Poison-type Pokemon on our team for now, and a Psychic Gym is coming up pretty soon, but there's a plethora of other Pokemon we can catch between now and the Sabrina fight, and even some more after the Sabrina fight that I'm really excited about, to bring our team back to a full party of 6. All we have to do is somehow figure a way to beat Koga and then Sabrina. It would be really nice to have that Espeon right now. We're currently sitting at 6 oofs, so I focus on catching a couple of new Pokemon like a Venonat near Fuchsia that I named Mothman and then quickly evolve into Venomoth, then a Ditto that I could have named so many things, but I name it Imposter from Among Us, and then I tried to catch this 1% Grimer in Celadon City by fishing, but gave up because I do not have the patience for a 1% encounter. I circle back to pick up the old Amber for a bit later since Aerodactyl is purple. Thank you, Nintendo, for making this Pokemon purple for some reason. Get the Shelder encounter in Palatown that I named Pearl, and quickly get the Water Stone for it so I can teach it Surf. I slowly realize just how good Cloyster is in this game as I buy coins from the game corner to get enough for the Mystic Water, teach Cloyster Surf, and then I clear out the junior trainers in Koga's gym faster than the British cleared out. You know what? Maybe I shouldn't finish that sentence. In the fight against Koga, I start off with our Cloyster to surf everything, but eventually get hit by a Toxic. This is slightly less than ideal, but our backup plan is to use Venomoth with Psywave, so I switch to Venomoth, and although he spams Minimize, we break through every time and connect with every hit for the win. Never punished. Now that we have access to Surf, I cruise on over to Cinnabar Island to resurrect Ragnarok, our Aerodactyl, forego the mansion encounter for now since they can only be poison types, which aren't really good for Sabrina, and go to the Rock Slide move tutor for Aerodactyl. This is the best we can do for Sabrina, as Rock Slide does the most damage for now, since Bite is special and would do very little damage from Aerodactyl, so I go into the fight and hope we don't miss at all. I ran some calcs against some max IV Pokemon on Sabrina's team, but apparently in this game they have 0 IVs. I'm so used to the 5th generation where gym leaders have random IVs, so this basically means that our damage is going to be a little bit more than I expected for the Sabrina fight, which is great. We again are never punished, never miss a Rock Slide on Sabrina, and beat Sabrina without even taking any damage. I was so scared for these 2 gym fights against Koga and then Sabrina, and we handled them both so well, and I'm now realizing I say never punished a lot. Even though if you watched my Pokemon White Hardcore Nuzlocke challenge with normal types only, yeah, we definitely got punished a lot in that with all the critical hits. When we circle back to Cinnabar Island, I catch a muck that I named Jabba, then prepare to fight Blaine, and looking at our team, which Pokemon do you think I should use? I know this is a tough one considering Blaine is a fire type gym leader and we have a water type Pokemon in Cloyster, so I use Cloyster with the Mystic Water, and surf everything into oblivion until we get hit by a fire blast that burns, so I switch to Aerodactyl and throw some rocks at him for the win. We can then immediately rush to Giovanni to challenge his gym as well, and his team also doesn't really like water types as you can see, so I use Surf to oof his entire team again. Speaking of oofs, we haven't had one in a while. Granted, we did have 6 total in this run, which is kind of a lot. A lot of them could have definitely been avoided, so hopefully I'm not jinxing us by saying that right now. Next up, we have one more rival fight, so I lead with Cloyster again, of course, who continues to carry us in the end of this run alongside Aerodactyl. It's able to take out his whole team until the Blastoise comes in, so I go into our recently acquired Jabba the Muck and use the Force. I know Jabba didn't use the Force, but bear with me now, and get a critical hit Sludge to knock out his Blastoise. I then get a bit confused in the Victory Road since I kept moving these rocks with strength, but when I would turn around or run into a wild Pokemon without leaving the area, the rocks would just disappear. I don't know if that's just a visual thing or what, but I got a bit confused and eventually made it through the Victory Road without battling anybody, which was pretty nice. When we finally reach the Elite Four building, I look at our team and collect some more TMs to buff our squad, like Thunder for Muck, Giga Drain for Venomoth, and Earthquake for Aerodactyl. Our team looks pretty solid all around right now, although one issue I've noticed with Fire Red and Leaf Green in general is there aren't many good held items to give our Pokemon, so we don't really have many items on our team. We made it this far on our very first attempt, so let's see if I can finally finish my dream of completing a Hardcore Nuzlocke challenge on the very first attempt. After a bit of planning, I head into the Lorelei fight with a plan of using Muck with Thunder and Brick Break to 1 or 2 shot everything on her team. We can't miss Thunders, otherwise we'll be in a bit of trouble, and after landing a Thunder and baiting a heal on her lead Dugong, we hit the next 2 to knock it out and only take damage from the hail that it set up. Next comes Cloyster and it spams Protect, but we land on the 3rd try to get another one-shot with Thunder. Then on Slowbro, we can't miss a Thunder and have it set up Amnesia to boost its special defense. If we Thunder on the first turn, then Sludge Bomb on the following turn, we should oof it there, but we miss the Thunder as it goes for Amnesia. I then just spam Sludge Waves since it's physical in this game and has a chance to poison to do some more damage. And it's pretty safe here since Slowbro doesn't have any psychic moves for some reason. Once it falls, we're only at about half health, but I did get a cheeky Minimize in on a healing turn for her. On her next Pokemon, Lapras, I go for Brick Break and do just under half. Then the Minimize comes in clutch because we dodge a hit, then she heals, and then we get a critical hit to basically cancel out the heal. On her Jinx, we are only 1 HP less than the funny number and can oof the Jinx with a single Sludge Bomb, but she lands the lovely kiss to put us to sleep. I just switched to Cloyster and hammer away with our Mystic Water powered Surfs for the victory. Second up is Bruno and his fighting, or rock team I guess you could say. But Aerodactyl looks really good here to hit all of his Pokemon super effectively with either Fly or Earthquake. We missed the knockout on his lead Onix though when we go for Earthquake, then get hit with an Iron Tail that also lowers our defense. It doesn't do that much considering it is a super effective move, but the defense drop is what I'm really worried about. Bruno doesn't heal on the following turn, allowing us to take out the lead Onix. Then we fly on the Hitmonchan to OHKO it. Then I decide to Wing Attack his Machamp twice, since Wing Attack and Fly both do over half and are not enough to one-shot, and Fly can miss and also has an extra turn in which he can go for Bulk Up. At this point I realize we may have made a little bit of a blunder, not that that's common around here or anything, because even though we have about 60% health or so, we're at -1 defense, so this Cross Chop, which is only 80 accurate by the way, should do about 40%, but with the defense drop, it has a chance to oof us. And as we know, if there's a chance to get oofed we get. Losing Aerodactyl is huge since we really needed it for the rest of the Bruno fight and for Lance, but in comes the savior of our run, Venomoth, which is a solid backup. From this range, we can Psychic the Machamp to take it out, 2-shot the Hitmonlee and tank a Mega Hit, and then 1-shot his second Onix with Giga Drain, which I taught right before the Elite Four and almost didn't. Third up is Agatha, and we had to do a bit of planning here. First, she has 2 Pokemon with Confuse Ray and 2 Pokemon with Hypnosis. We have a Person Berry for the Confusion and a Chesto Berry for the Sleep, and Chad and I ultimately decide that the Chesto Berry is better to have since she is more likely to try to put us to sleep, and even though Confuse Ray is more accurate, her Golbat will most likely try to go for Air Cutter on our Venomoth, and we can still have a chance to attack if we're confused, but if we're asleep, we have to be asleep for at least the 1 turn. This works out pretty well to start as Venomoth proves its might by outspeeding her lead Gengar somehow and going through its double team to Beta Heal and knock it out, then 2-shot her Golbat with Psychic after being put to just below half health. We outspeed the Haunter to 1-shot it with Psychic, then the second Gengar outspeeds us, lands a Hypnosis, telling us that Chesto Berry was in the right place since it wakes us up as we unfortunately miss the 1-shot. On the following turn, she doesn't Potion though, and it turns out we did Speed Tie I guess because we attack first, taking out her Gengar. Last up is Arbok, which can't really do much to us and goes down pretty easy. I was very tempted to have an honor battle between our Arbok and her Arbok, but I really didn't want to risk it, especially after losing Aerodactyl. So far we're looking pretty good even though we lost our best Pokemon, but having 5 Pokemon for the final 2 battles really isn't that bad. For Lance, we have Cloyster to hit everything on his team aside from the lead Gyarados very hard, so I lead with Muck again, who never misses and lands another Thunder to take out the Gyarados. Then he goes into Aerodactyl, which can't really do much to Muck, so I just stay in and take it out in 2 hits after being put just below half health, and of course we didn't miss Thunders there either. On Dragonite, which is what I expected him to switch in for the first place after we got the first KO, I just go to Ditto to have it get oofed so I can get a free switch in. It somehow lived a Hyper Beam from a Dragonite though, and then I go for Transform, win the Speed Tie I guess, and get an Outrage off for some huge damage. Ditto then falls the next turn, but it did its job, as I didn't really expect to do much outside of just get oofed, but doing that damage really mattered because now it means that Cloyster can come in and knock out Dragonite with Icicle Spear instead of having to risk going for Blizzard and missing. Cloyster is slower however, so we do have to take a big Outrage with about 30% health remaining, and we can knock out his last 2 Dragonairs and outspeed them with Blizzards. All we have to do is land 2 Blizzards in a row. He goes into the first Dragonite as I click Blizzard, and unfortunately we end up missing. Cloyster then falls on the following turn, and now we're in a pretty bad spot. We have 3 Pokemon remaining, and I know Muck can tank Outrage, so I tried to go for Minimize strats, but he goes for Hyper Beam and lands, knocking out Muck. I then go to Venomoth and hope he doesn't Hyper Beam again or Thunder Wave us, since Psychic at best is a 2-shot on his Dragonairs. Venomoth gets pretty lucky here, and his Dragonairs don't go for any of those scary moves, and we take out both Dragonites without even taking any damage somehow. Beating Lance is great and all, but there's still the champion in our way. All we have left on our team is Arbok, which I haven't even used in Elite Four yet, and our Venomoth. They don't match up horribly against the rival's team if you ignore the fact that he has Alakazam, one of the fastest Pokemon in this game that happens to hit both of our Pokemon for 200% damage. The only real thing we can do is rely on RNG. It hasn't really been our favor in this Elite Four run. Wouldn't be a hardcore Nuzlocke if I didn't blame RNG, I guess. But we really need to be on our side for this final battle. I decided to give Arbok Double Team and Toxic to pair with its Glare and Bite to hopefully get up 6 double teams, paralyze everything, then flinch them to death with Bite, assuming we can set this up and win. And once the battle starts, I realize one major flaw in our plan that I missed. His lead Pokemon Pidgeot has the move Aerial Ace, which doesn't miss. Once I realize this, I just start going for bites while it's paralyzed, hoping to get some flinches or crits, but we do such little damage, and of course the Pidgeot never flinches, never gets full parried, and hits every single Aerial Ace to knock out our Arbok. All that's left now is Venomoth. Venomoth versus the World, a Pokemon that has saved this run multiple times now, but can it do it again in this final fight? By some stroke of luck, we do take out the Pidgeot, and we gave Venomoth Flash just in case we really needed it and we're put in a position like this. It's a rather unlikely situation, but if we get lucky and can set up flashes on all of his Pokemon, we have a chance, but his next Pokemon is Alakazam. Alakazam is faster, so we needed to go for some useless move on the first turn, but it goes for Future Sight. This means that no matter what we do, Venomoth will fall in a couple of turns, ending our hardcore Nuzlocke here. Kind of fitting that we end up losing to the rivals Alakazam, since it has caused us some trouble in the past, even when it was just a little Kadabra. And this was also the farthest I have ever been in a hardcore Nuzlocke on the very first attempt. I didn't play perfectly, especially in the first half of the game where most of our oofs were rather avoidable, but in the second half, I think we did pretty well with the resources we had at our disposal. Maybe if we still had Pokemon like Nidoking and Golbat, things would have went differently for the Elite Four, or if we picked up Weezing instead of the Ditto that we used for the Elite Four, or if Aerodactyl didn't get his defense drop and get oof, or if Cloyster just landed those 2 clutch Blizzards in a row against Lance, which was a pretty low chance to begin with, to be fair. Lots of things we could have done differently, but unfortunately, we end up falling to the final battle in the game. If anything, I learned that this particular run is very possible with multiple different Pokemon and different options on your team, since there's a lot of useful purple Pokemon in Fire Red and Leaf Green, and maybe if you play Leaf Green, you'll be better off, since in Leaf Green, you'll have access to Starmie over Cloyster since you can't get both in either game. Either way, I think this was our best run from a purely entertainment standpoint, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed playing through it and making this video. I've been doing hardcore Nuzlocke videos slightly differently from the many you've seen on YouTube over the past few months, and although they may not do as well as my other videos, I really enjoy making them, and I think you could see the improvement I've made as a hardcore Nuzlocker, if that's the word you want to call it, from my earlier ones back in the summer to now. Either way, I'm rambling. I'm going to take a small break from hardcore Nuzlocks now, since as I'm recording this, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are just about to come out, and I'm sure I'll have a ton of fun playing those and streaming those on Twitch, which is linked in the description. With all that out of the way, I hope you have a good rest of your day. I will see you all next time, and bye-bye.